Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Namo Tassa Bhagavato ArahatoSammaSambuddhassa. Buddham saranam gacchami. Dhammam saranam gacchami. Sangham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Dutiyampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Buddham saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Dhammam saranam gacchami. Tatayampi Sangham saranam gacchami. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. Namo Buddhaya, Namo Dharmaya, Namo Sanghaya. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. I take refuge until I am enlightened in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Through the positive potential I create by practicing the 6 paramitas, may I soon attain enlightenment in order to benefit all sentient beings. May all sentient beings have happiness and its causes. May they be free from suffering and its causes. May they never be parted from the happiness beyond suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias, attachment to the near, and aversion from the far. I shall cause this. Great compassionate Buddha, please inspire me to be able to do so. Reverently, I prostrate with my body, speech, and mind, and present clouds of every types of offerings, actual and mentally transformed. I confess all of my negative actions accumulated since beginningless time, and rejoice in all the virtues of all holy and ordinary beings. Please remain until cyclic existence ends, and turn the wheel of Dharma for all sentient beings. I dedicate the virtues of myself and others to the great enlightenment. However innumerable all sentient beings are, I vow to save them all. However inexhaustible my delusions are, I vow to extinguish them all. However immeasurable the Dharma teachings are, I vow to master them all. However endless the Buddha's way is, I vow to follow it completely. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Om Mani Padme Hum. Tayata Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. Tayata Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. Tayata Gate Gate Parasam Gate Bodhi Soha. So now get yourself in a nice, comfortable position, both mentally and physically, for this short meditation practice. So initially we will release the tension in the body. So gently close your eyes, your lips gently touching, the tongue resting on the upper palate of your mouth. Nice and calm body as much as possible, and now we'll make it more calm by releasing whatever tension you have. So initially from the bottom of your body, from your toes up to your midsection. And also from your midsection up to your shoulders and down to the end of your fingers. And also from all around your head, your neck, the back, the sides, and your face. And finally from the crown of your head. And now scan your body all the way through just to see if there's any more tension that you can release. And now we will practice anapanasati, or mindfulness of the breath, breathing in and breathing out. This also can be known as shamatha, or calm abiding meditation, where you pick an object and focus on the object to eventually develop samadhi, or one-pointed concentration. So starting at the tip of your nose, follow the breath as you breathe into the lungs and then back out again through your nose. Nothing else to do right now, just this. A common saying is that meditation leads to wisdom. We must practice meditation. So during this practice right now, if any thoughts arise, don't cling to them, grasp at them, or even try to forcefully push them away, because that will add extra thoughts. Or even deny them. By refocusing on the breath, let them come and go naturally. And it is likewise with any other mental activities, such as our feelings or emotions. And if during the meditation you notice your mind is starting to become sleepy or dull, wake it up a little bit by refocusing on your breath more brightly. The constant process of refocusing the breath. And remind you that as we do this, and the more we do this, the more consistent we are at engaging in this practice, the better we get at it, the more easy it becomes. The less you will lose focus. So now we will practice like this for a few minutes in silence. So now you can be very pleased with yourself and fill yourself with friendship, universal loving kindness. As we start to engage in metta bhavana, or meditation on loving kindness. Fill yourself with so much loving kindness that it now overflows and radiates outwards to your family and friends initially. And also to strangers. And even to those that you may find difficult, or may even regard as enemies. May these three types of people, your loved ones, the strangers, and the difficult ones, may they be happy and have the causes of happiness. May they be free from suffering and the causes of suffering. May they abide in equanimity, free of bias. Now radiate further and further gradually, this universal loving kindness coming from your mind to now include all of the living beings around your immediate area. Those that fly through the air, live on the land, live in the waters, whether they are born from wombs, eggs, moisture, or through transformation. May they also be happy. And now throughout your whole state and county, through other states and counties throughout your whole country, and other countries throughout the whole world. And other worlds throughout the solar system. And other solar systems throughout the whole galaxy, as well as other galaxies throughout the universe. May this universal loving kindness radiating from your mind pervade infinite space. Also be present here and now, and we will recite the dedication prayer. Due to this merit, may I soon attain the enlightened state of the Buddha, so that I may be able to liberate all sentient beings from their suffering. May the precious bodhicitta not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. And may the precious view of shunyata not yet born arise and grow. May that born have no decline but increase forevermore. So, mentioned last week, practicing on the cushion and off the cushion. In other words, engaging in formal practice, formal studies, formal meditation, formal contemplation meditation, where you thoroughly use your investigative skills as well as ability to analyze and to absorb your mind with understanding. And then, of course, we have the practice, what we call off the cushion, which means out there in your everyday life, whether it's in your home, whether it's engaging with others or even going for a walk, engaging in some exercise, work, studies, cooking meals, all of these daily activities, even something as simple as cleaning your teeth. You take this practice from on the cushion, where you have worked to calm your mind, to help yourself to develop eventually one point of concentration, but at the very least right now improve our concentration, clarity of mind. We take that into our everyday life. And as we do this, as we engage as much as possible in keeping, maintaining an upright mind and a calm mind, a bright mind, as we engage in these worldly activities, this will help our practice on the cushion. So if you find yourself engaging in some sort of practice or some sort of activities, I should say, outside, say outside the home or in the home, some intense studies or work-related activities, and you find yourself falling into the old habit of being distracted or being stressed, worrying, being anxious, recognize it, and realize that this is old habits, or these are old habits that you can undo. If at all possible at that time, maybe engage in a couple of minutes of meditation to calm the mind again before you re-engage with the activities. Or you may notice that maybe some of these activities are actually not necessary at all, so you can actually drop them. And maybe they're meaningless activities or even harmful activities that are just habitual. So you can drop those activities and do something else. But of course, the ones we're mainly talking about here and now are the important ones to you. Remember last week I spoke very briefly about desire. Now, the word tanha, or in Sanskrit trishna, should be translated really as attachment or grasping or clinging or something like that. Because quite often into English, it's translated as desire. But actually desire, as mentioned, is neutral. Because it depends on what it's based on, whether it's wholesome, unwholesome, or meaningless or neutral, neither wholesome nor unwholesome. If based on a wholesome state of mind, good intentions, then the desire actually takes on the form of wholesome. But if based on selfishness or harmfulness or any other negative, unwholesome mental state, then it becomes unwholesome. For instance, if you desire to attain enlightenment or to help others practice so that they can be happy, and you desire to do this, then this is actually wholesome desire. But if you desire to harm someone or destroy something, even in the natural environment, or even destroy somebody else's material property, then this, of course, is negative desire. Already, this unwholesome negative desire is creating some bad karma. And already, the wholesome desire is creating good karma. But then, of course, you follow through with the action. So let's say you follow through with the wholesome desire and put it into practice, put it into action in your lives. Then actually the good karma is multiplied. And the more you maintain the pure intention, the good intentions, the more it is multiplied, reinforced. But it is likewise with the unwholesome desire. If you put that into practice, you follow through and put it into practice, actually engage in the actions based on this desire, then the negative karma is also multiplied. So be careful with that one. We should also always try our best to recognize when we've been engaging in unwholesome activities of the mind, the body, and the speech, and then work to purify them, replace them with the opposites. We also do as much as we can in our lives, create what we call merit or good karma, good conditions, engage in good actions based on wholesome states of mind. And continually do this because we still have the old habits of engaging in, even if they're really small, negative actions. We need to supersede them, okay? Just like if the sky is really cloudy and then big winds come along up there, they blow the clouds out of the way. So the good merit, the good karma will blow this negative karma aside, okay? So that's really covering what we covered last week. Just remind you that if you do find yourself getting stressed, especially if it's in, like this initial query came from somebody studying in university, and how to keep a calm mind while engaging in the studies, and also working towards being successful in your work, whatever that may be. And so you must do this. So also you must keep the calm mind. So do whatever you can. Remember that I mentioned before, there's a couple of, just a little bit of, using a little bit of humor, but a couple of meditations that I recommend. The first one is, if you are driving, traffic light meditation. You stop at a traffic light, or even if you're a passenger in the car. Quite often when we stop at the traffic light, we are waiting for the traffic light to go green. Maybe even becoming anxious for it to do so. Maybe you're running late or something. Actually, when you get stopped by a traffic light, it's a good opportunity to practice meditation. Of course, with your eyes open, for obvious reasons, unless you are the passenger. And then while you are stopped, focus on your breath in and out. Calm your mind. What you may even find is that you want the traffic light to remain red longer. No, probably not. So that's one. The other one is I nickname meditation in a cup. And this is like 3-minute noodles or a cup of soup. You know, just whenever you have the opportunity, it could be 2 minutes, it could be 3 minutes, it could be 5 minutes, or however long you have or need to calm and clear your mind. Do that. Because when you are engaging in your studies, or anything you need to concentrate on intensely, such as your work, you need to, or it's better to have a clear mind to be able to do this more accurately, less chance of making mistakes and having to redo things. You also will remember what it is you've learned, or the methods you've learned how to study or how to do your work. You will put them into practice with, you could say, no worries, mate, with ease. But if you are constantly getting anxious and stressed and worried, then this fragments, you could say fragments our concentration. It's more likely we will make mistakes. It's more likely that you're not going to be able to concentrate on something to get to really know it. Because we need this concentration to be able to get to know something. For instance, the Dharma, whatever aspect of the Dharma you may be studying, you need to have this concentration, which of course is based on morality. Morality being the foundation of the meditation practice. You need to have this concentration to be able to get to understand, first of all, what the Dharma methods you need to put into practice are, but also then to be able to do it and then realize the result of practicing the methods. So I think that's enough for that. And now I will start to introduce the 6 paramitas to you. 6 perfections, or you could say 6 transcendental perfections. We say transcendent or transcendental because they transcend beyond the normal. So often when we think of something that is perfect, we think of, it's very limited perfection, isn't it? Because it's the opposite of imperfect. It's still dualistic thinking, conceptual thinking. But when we are talking about paramita, to go beyond, I think in English, a good translation is using 2 words, transcendental perfections, to transcend beyond the normal way of thinking, the dualistic conceptual way of thinking. It's interesting, isn't it? Because if you think, oh, I want to have, say I have a glass of water and it's not clean, it's not perfect. I want to make that perfect. So you try your best to purify it. So still that's worldly, isn't it? So it's still the opposite of imperfect. So now think about the paramita that makes all of the other ones, the first 5 of them, the paramita that makes them perfect or able to be perfect, beyond dualistic. And that is the 6th one, the wisdom paramita, the perfection of wisdom. prajna paramita. But of course, we're not there yet for this. So we need to engage in the practice of the other 5, which you could say all relate to compassion, relate to methods. We need to practice these to decrease the negatives, you could say. So the 6 paramitas are, in order, generosity, the perfection of generosity, the perfection of morality, the perfection of patience, the perfection of effort or enthusiastic perseverance, and the perfection of concentration or meditative stabilization. And then, of course, you have the 6th is the perfection of wisdom. So there is dana paramita, perfection of generosity, sila paramita, the perfection of morality, shanti paramita, the perfection of patience, virya paramita, the perfection of effort, samadhi paramita, perfection of concentration, and prajna paramita, the perfection of wisdom. How long we have? Still good. So I'll go into, what I'll do is today just introduce these to you with a few examples that I've thought about before. And then next week, we will do more of a thorough overview. It's kind of similar to how we've covered the other subjects, especially the 5 skandhas when we did those. And then we will go into detail of each one and then give you some examples. And it's interesting, I've mentioned this before, never get down about things, because remember the Buddhist teachings, especially the wisdom teachings, are there to cut through our ignorance, to totally destroy this belief in a separate self. And sometimes this may kind of offend us. So don't let it, okay? If we're talking, for instance, about generosity, and then you think, oh, hang on a minute, I'm not generous enough. Don't get down about that. Actually rejoice in the fact that you realize it. Because when we realize that we need to improve something or to eradicate some negativities, this is great, because this is the starting point of actually doing it. We all can improve. Myself included, of course. And even all the way up towards enlightenment, even just before you're a Buddha, you need to improve to become Buddha. So never let it get you down, in other words. Quite often people fight against the Dharma, don't they? They don't want to look inside the mind, to purify the mind. The practice, both the mental practice as well as the physical practice, which includes our bodily actions as well as our verbal actions, are there now to improve ourselves, to deepen our understanding of reality, to increase our compassion and loving kindness. Okay, so generosity. Generosity is the antidote for greed. Obviously, it's the opposite. The antidote for self-centeredness, selfishness. And the antidote for attachment. The more generous we are, the less attached we are, the less greedy we are, the less self-centered we are. When you are practicing generosity purely with pure intention, there's no way for greed at that moment to arise. There's no way for self-centeredness or attachment to arise. And even though wisdom is the ultimate antidote for all of this, the generosity at that time is really important. It's really important that because we've lived so many lifetimes thinking mainly of self, we need to practice generosity often or always, if possible. Now, generosity doesn't just mean giving stuff. It's an attitude as well. to quote myself, as I say with humor, in this world, there are a lot of people that are taking. Maybe some don't practice generosity hardly at all. You could call them takers. It's very unfortunate. Hopefully it changes. But probably most of the people in the world kind of work with give and take. But better than these, you could say, are people that have the concept of receiving rather than taking. So giving and receiving. This is fantastic. But even better than this is giving and giving. Just give. Don't expect anything in return. Don't even expect good results from the practice. Some of you may remember that many years ago, when I was still living in the USA, in the temple, a young student who, by the way, for many years now has been a nun, but she was, I think, about 18, and she worked in a supermarket. And she wanted to know, first of all, she wanted to know the wisdom aspect of the paramitas. She wanted me to teach from the Diamond Sutra. Now, of course, that was a bit too much at that time, both for me as a teacher probably, as well as for those students. So I decided to teach the paramita of generosity and to give them some homework. And she worked in the supermarket part-time. And so I said to her, as well as the other students, come back next week and tell me what you've done during the week. And do it without expectation, without expecting anything in return. And of course, they came back, and there was some really good stuff that I was able to elaborate and clarify for all of the students, who were all mainly sort of young adults and teenagers. And she said that she did it all the time. She was being kind, because one of the things that I mentioned is being kind to people is also being generous, sharing your kindness, sharing your good vibes, your good attitude. And she said she was doing it and trying to be helpful. And some people even told her off, even thought she was a bit weird, thought she was a little bit maybe too forceful in being kind. And I said, but can you see that you actually did it with expectation? It's really good what you did, but you were expecting some sort of good result back towards you. When we practice generosity, really, then we don't expect anything in return. And also we don't get offended, even if people react in a negative way to our practice of generosity. Okay, so the three types of generosity that all of the other ones fit into are the giving of material aid, the giving of protection from fear, which includes forgiveness, and the giving of the Dharma. The Dharma in the sense of the Buddhist teachings, but also anything that is good, anything that can lead to people benefiting and also realizing the truth eventually. Then we have the morality, of which, of course, we'll go into more detail. We've spoken about this in the past, during the time we spoke about the Eightfold Path, especially, the three aspects of right speech, right action, and right livelihood. So I won't go into them now, but it relates to being moral with the actions of our body, our speech, and our mind, and engaging in what we call the 10 virtues, and avoiding engaging in the 10 non-virtues, which relate to these three. Then, of course, we have patience. Now, patience, some people think it's being really passive, but actually it's very active in the practice in Buddhism. We need to be patient with ourselves. We need to be patient if we are being harmed in whatever way. We need to be patient when we experience difficulties and obstacles, especially on the Dharma path. And we need to be patient with the nature of reality, because we don't understand it yet. Patience is very, very important. It's a very strong state of mind. I like to say that it's being humble, stable, and flexible. And as you know from before, I like to use the example of a big, healthy oak tree, which is also the title of the song that I used a lot of metaphors in to try to express patience. Be like a big oak tree and the winds will blow you down. Of course, I'm talking about the 8 worldly winds there. So all of the different circumstances we have in our life won't affect us so much the more patient we are. Then, of course, the 4th of the perfections or paramitas is effort. Of course, there are 4 great efforts included there. Included within this is the aspect of enthusiasm and also the aspect of perseverance. And then there is the 5th one, the perfection of concentration. And then, like I mentioned, the 6th one is what makes all of the other ones be able to be perfect, which is the perfection of wisdom. Now, we only have a minute to go. Hopefully you understand all that. You can re-study or re-listen to this, I think, about 25-minute Dharma talk today. If you forget anything, or look at your notes if you took notes, or if your memory is really good, contemplate in meditation on these different aspects, okay? Make sure that you take care of yourself, both physically and mentally, or maybe the other way around, mentally and physically. And practice or study well, not too much, not too little, not too tight, not too loose. Practice well the same way. And then share the Dharma through your actions, your words, and your vibe, your good vibes. And like I said, be really careful out there, okay, with the pandemic going around as well. Definitely not over yet. I rejoice in your goodness, always.